Okay, David.
Yeah. So the fact of the matter is, once you're arrested under Section 136, there's a whole procedure that needs to take place, and normally people are kept at a very minimum 72 hours. And there's documentation on both parties. The police have a copy of their records that they have to sign, and the arresting officers have to fill out. A copy of that goes to the hospital, and vice versa. The hospital, they fill out their log, and they give a copy to the police. But it turns out the police have said this doesn't exist, this paperwork. So that means if it doesn't exist, then it's gone missing. And the hospital involved have flatly refused to hand over, even following freedom of information requests, the paperwork that's involved showing how the girls were first admitted, under what conditions, etc. And it would show that they was arrested under Section 136. So so the main thing is it's helped the police and their story by this overall story having such conspiracy theories connected to it. The more wild and crazy they are, it actually helps the police and the hospital involved. It actually helps them out because it sort of doesn't, it distracts people from looking at the actual evidence that's involved in this case. And a lot of stuff that obviously the public have not seen until I found it and wrote the book. So, for instance, let me just go on to say the most important thing at the end of the day. Your brother was killed and he was murdered. And I'm convinced it actually wasn't Sabina. And that it was actually others then. And if that's the case, that means those others are still out on the loose. You know, they've never been caught. They know who they are. I have some suspicions, as have you raised yourself when we've spoken before, about the chap that was actually with Glenn throughout the evening with Sabina.
You're talking about Peter Malloy, I take it.
Peter Malloy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because I've got round to actually seeing him personally, and I spoke to him, we're in many respects, and you know, he was good enough to sit down with me and Sharon when we first went up there and sat down and spoke to him. He told us a lot more than he's ever said to the police, he said to the BBC or anything. And but nevertheless, I can't help feeling that he knows more than he said. And that more is the fact that maybe he does know who I suspect did actually kill your brother. And that's because, remember, when after a period of time I ended up getting the coroner's report, and it wasn't too long for me to work out to see that 2 knives were used. 2 different knives were used. Both coroner's reports basically say the same, that they suspect 2 weapons were used. And remembering your brother's case and Sabina's case was never actually heard, it never went to trial, did it? They prevented it, see? Yeah. So if it went to trial, the court bundles of evidence that we've tried to get from the police and they have flatly refused would reveal a lot of what I'm trying to say. And in so if there's 2 knives, straight away, I thought, well, hello, 2 knives maybe does suggest to another person. People have suggested, well, she could have picked up 2 knives, yeah, for sure. But one knife was only ever discovered by the police, and the police have only ever indicated there was 1 knife. There's never been a suggestion there was 2, which there should have been. But then again, it's a bit tricky waters if they are starting to say, well, there was 2 wounds. It actually does raise the question, well, what was the second weapon? So if no one's raising this question, which they didn't, because if they didn't go to court, to public hearing, and it wasn't until I read the coroner's report, so therefore I was the first person to see and then question, what is 2 weapons we used? Now, we've said as well, there wasn't any defence marks on Glenn, Glenn being what he was, an ex-RAF chap, and as you know, he was trained, and he could handle himself anyway. There was no signs of any defence wounds whatsoever, and he was yet stabbed 4 times, seriously, and there was no signs of any struggle whatsoever. So it just suggests that he was held by someone by his arms and back, held back, his chest was exposed, and someone just stabbed him 4 times in the neck, down into the chest. And then the chest wounds are all on one side, indicating the person who used the knife was a right-handed person. Now, I didn't know at the time, but since we were able to discover photographs of Sabina when she was younger, writing, which is in the book, the photograph, and she's clearly left-handed. Okay, it can be ambidextrous, but, you know, it just indicates again that it's a right-handed person, 2 blades were used, no defence wounds. Now, the most trickiest thing that sort of backs up that Sabina also maybe not done this. Remember, there was alleged CCTV footage of Sabina running away from Glenn's house, and the factory next door to Glenn's house, CCTV footage captured this. Now, we have heard this was the fact, but what the BBC show you on the documentary is a reenactment. So it's not the actual CCTV footage the police say they have, because it never went to public ear, people have never seen it. So they've only worked on what the police said they had in their evidence. Now we know also, if he was local, because I'm suggesting those who killed Glenn are local, and probably knew him, that they would have known the CCTV camera is at his factory gate, and most people would know that that's the case. But you therefore only have to come outside Glenn's house and turn left, as opposed to turning right, that Sabina has said is alleged to have done. Go left, up 2 more turnings on the left, down to the bottom, and you're now on the road behind, that runs parallel to Glenn's houses. You can cross the road and you're on the other side, that so happens to be a mud path where, and this was only told to me after the book, when I interviewed Peter Malloy, on where her large plastic see-through police bag, of property bag, was found, and her personal belongings, that non-Burgundy long coat she was seen running out on the motorway was in that bag, according to Peter. So was her laptop, and so was her mobile phones and CD covers, etc. When she first met Peter and your brother, as you said. And so it means that it seems to me that, going back, sorry, because it is a bit confusing for those who don't know about the story, and that's why it's best that they read the book. But basically, what I've said throughout the book is this, that Sabina was in the house. Peter Malloy had confirmed that when they first met, she had a big roll of cash on her, like that, like the size of a toilet roll, the cardboard inside, you know, for the collar, that sort of cash. So that's at least £1,000 she had on her. She's had a laptop, she had some mobile phones, and she's now in this house. Peter, who lives just yards from Glenn, well, you wouldn't think that, you think he lived miles away on the footage in the documentary, even that same evening was able to nip home to his own house, get some beers from his fridge, and return back to Glenn's home. That means at the time that he left and just to go home and get his beers, he lives with a friend. And he could have quite easily had a conversation, said, I'm around Glenn's house with some woman, and we're having a drink, whatever. Or he could have had the opportunity to speak to someone else that just encountered the woman, and that she's got the property that she's got on her, and she had big cash on her and one thing or another. Anyway, so there's knowledge that she had valuables on her, and we go back to the documentary when we are from the services, who's the then acting manager, contacted the police saying the twins are holding this bag so close to their chest it was almost as if everything they owned was in this bag. And yet she suspected maybe it was a bomb they was carrying, and that's why she called the police. So they clearly had something of some kind of possession on them. now back at Glenn's with in that clear bag could have been more visual. Maybe not, but it's possible there was more money that could be seen, that came to light. Could be several thousand. Now, going back to that evening, Peter says he eventually went home, which he did. So let's assume he went home, and his departing words to Glenn was, I will call you tomorrow. And what Glenn had said to him, call or text me tomorrow. And he said, I would. So he went home. It wasn't until the next day, the day had gone by, and it was now afternoon, early evening, is when this Glenn's murder took place. So that means all that day, that Tuesday, people could have come and gone, as far as we know, for sure, in Glenn's home. And on the instance when Glenn had gone out apparently to see his neighbour and asked him for some tea bags whilst he was cleaning the van at the back of the house, and then he went back in, and some minutes had passed, and he struck Saggett outside again, this time dying. But in that split second, because that's all it could have took, but it could have been possible where one moment Glenn went outside, asking for tea bags like he did, went back in, there was a knock on the front door, he let in whoever it was, or they barged their way in, because they'd heard that she had possessions in the house. Glenn could have intervened, said, what the hell are you doing, that kind of thing, and someone's grabbed him, the other one stabbed him. Sabina's actually standing there, freaking out, thinking what the hell was going on. In that same instance, run out and legged it, run out the house. Maybe she picked that ammo up that's allegedly been reported she had on a person when she left fleeing the house. And so she could have picked that up maybe for defence, because Glenn had no ammo marks on him or anything. So maybe she picked that up and fled the house like she did. And on that instance, the killers of Glenn took the plastic bag, her possessions, and ran out the house as well, but not turning right as Sabina did, done a left, went round the back, crossed the yard, because as I say, Peter confirmed that the day after Glenn's murder, along that pathway, her possessions were found. The red coat was found, CD covers were found, and cigarette packets and paper was found discarded, and the black bag along the mud path.
David,
yeah.
can I just interrupt you for a moment?
Yeah.
Can you shed any further light on the topic of if you're going to kill somebody, you either do it for self-defense or to gain something, usually.
Yeah.
Who would, in your opinion, have most to gain from doing this to Glenn? If it was Sabina was under threat, that would be one case. And the other one is that if she was unhappy, I know Glenn very well, she'd just simply put a coat on and leave Glenn's house. And he was a man of few possessions and not really materialistic. And he had very little at home anyway. He's not a rich guy, had no money or valuables in his own home. You know, you mentioned what happened to the contents of Sabina's bag, and that contents would be well documented because of her admittance into court and the police station. That would have been reported in the bundle, wouldn't it? And perhaps this is why they don't want to release the bundle, because that'll show precise contents, valuables, cash, etc. And maybe that was the honey trap for those people they were hoping she'd lead them to. Would that be a fair statement?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, going back onto that then, as you say, if I'm saying that she was already under police observation before the M6 motorway incident, and that she was released early from the hospital, and then when she was released from the magistrates on that Monday morning, she was still back under OBO, so the police were still observing her from a distance.
Yeah.
Wondering if she may encounter next. And so, as you state, when she was first taken into custody, they could well have had £5,000, £10,000 in cash in that bag. Would have never mentioned that to police because, as I say, if they're covering up certain things, they just simply run.
What if it contained sizable amounts of drugs that they were hoping to to, let her keep the drugs because she's acting as a courier for the drugs for somebody bigger in London, which is her original destination.
And that's exactly what they do. And I mentioned that in the book. Again, they exactly do that. If the UK Customs, for instance, you come off a flight or anywhere and you're stopped and you're found with drugs, they don't take the drugs off you there and then. They sort of, in some cases they have to, if they found it within your body or on your body, certain things. But if they've discovered something that's in a suitcase, they sometimes say, well, look, don't arrest this person because they're just the mule, they're just the delivery boy.
Yeah.
And they go on, they want the bigger fish. So they repack it, let the person take their luggage and go about their journey, but they're under observation. They're being watched all the time because they're right open to see where they're going to end up taking this package. So so technically what I'm trying to say is that if Sabina was let out like she was and released so quickly, she could have had concealed, that may have been discovered, because I bet if she had it in her person it would be blatantly obvious that it was, like we say, a kilo of coke. It would be concealed, but if they did discover it, they would have reconcealed it, put it back in her packet, in her luggage, and gave it to her, because they still had her under observation. As soon as she came out of that courthouse in Fenton, after the M6 motorway there, she was under observation still, and that's what I'm trying to say throughout the book. She was, in my eyes, she was still under observation. But even when she then met Glenn, that means she was under observation, and the police knew that she met Glenn and that she walked off with Glenn, and that therefore it's quite likely that they was outside Glenn's house throughout the evening whilst they was inside. Peter's own description was saying she was always up at the window looking out and that she was being followed. She knew she was being followed. When you're under Obbo, you know you're being followed. You don't necessarily know who you might be followed by in her case, because she was not only fleeing the gang that she said she was linked to her brother in Ireland, and what she reported her kids being kidnapped, she was not only fleeing them, she's fleeing whoever she knows she's under observation, which was the police, most of the border. Various agencies could have been involved in this, because I see it being linked to a massive multi-billion-pound drug smuggling ring that soon took place after Sabina was arrested. Within weeks, a series of long-term police undercover operations started coming to an end, and there was arrests made in Norway, in England, in Ireland, in America, and that means today people are still in prison connected to it. And I believe she was somehow part of that link. Her partner was involved in this drug smuggling. So what I'm trying to say is then, going back to like who gains on this, I just believe that Glenn came across. Now this is also going back to Peter Malloy's story. Peter said he and your brother met her in the evening outside the church, which is next door to the Fenton Magistrate Court. He didn't know that we was going to eventually, 4 years later, be able to get Glenn's mobile phone back from the police, and therefore be able to trace and work out certain things that was said or wasn't said. Now, he was there privy to say whatever happened between him, Glenn, and Sabina. No one else has got such knowledge, so he could say what he wants. But what happened was the phone, Glenn's own phone, revealed that around about 4:30 that evening, that same day, which is approximately a good 5 hours difference between what Peter, the lawyer, said, that Glenn had already met a woman, because Glenn had spoke to one of his good friends up in Stoke, where I spoke to him directly. And he said to me, on that day, Glenn had called him and said he'd met some woman by Fenton Magistrate Court. Now that was at 4:30. So that means then some hours have gone by. Now, Peter could well have joined them at some time within the evening, or maybe Sabina went off, as I suggest in the book. I don't know what, but all I'm trying to say is, it seems as if Glenn had already met Sabina earlier that day, around about 4:30. But Peter says they accidentally first time met around more about 9 o'clock in the evening outside the church next door to the court. So, you know, why was this time thing invented by Peter. So anyway,
David, you know that I was contacted by the police about, I don't know, 4 months after Glenn's death, and the whole thing was put to bed. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, better. Yeah, go on, John.
Yeah.
Say that again, please.
I was contacted after the whole thing had been put to bed and Glenn had been buried and everything was done and dusted, and offered up the phone. As a matter of principle, I was asking for the phone because there's no reason the police should keep hold of his possessions. We'd already emptied his house and cleared his house out now, which has gone to someone else, of course. It was rented. But out of a memento point, it was not the intrinsic value of the phone for me. It was not even anything on it. The only thing that was on that, and this chap, I think he was from Special Branch, insisted on bringing it personally to my house. I looked there, and the only thing I could find on there was a text message. Now, I'm not to say that anything else had been deleted or oral messages been deleted. I'm not into mobile phones that much, but the only message was left on there was a text message. The battery died when I attempted to look at that, and I sent it off to yourself, and you were kind enough to charge it and let us know. But I was curious to know who actually left that message. Did you find out?
Yeah, because what happened was that's the thing. See, that phone revealed that it had all these list of friends. So I found quite a few people on that list and explained who I was and what I was doing. One of the chaps that Glenn's phone showed that he called about 4:30 that day was his friend who had known for many years, and he's the one he told that he'd already met his storm around about 4:30 that day. The text messages, the object of the phone was to see exactly who had been in contact with Glenn in vital 24 hours. And going on to Peter Malloy's situation, he said on the departing his house that night that he would either call him or text him the next day. Yeah. So he never did, and the phone confirms that over 33 hours had gone by since Peter left Glenn's house. So it means the entire whole day had gone by, and Glenn had long been murdered before he even texted him. And he texted him a message saying, I heard there was a load of police along these lines. It's in the book. To my knowledge, something along the lines. He said, I heard there was a load of police up your street the other night. You know. And obviously, Glenn was killed, so he didn't reply. He then phoned him, which was almost 36 hours later. Now, when I put it to Peter, I said, why did you leave it for so long before you contacted Glenn? Because what I'm trying to say is that he left his house, and instead of contacting him the next morning or throughout that day or evening, he didn't. 33 hours had lapsed. So I thought you said yourself that you was going to call him. He said, I'm a bad mate like that. I'm just not really that good of a mate. Now, I don't think it has anything to do with how good of a mate you are.
Curiosity would have killed the cat, wouldn't it?
Well, that's exactly. Everyone says that. Everyone says, well, surely it's really not. You say, what happened between you and that girl? Is she still there? Or what happened to her sister? Because they know Ursula. They know that she had run over on the motorway. So, the curiosity, exactly. There's nothing exciting like this comes to Fenton, surely.
Well, it's a very boring, small place, and within police cars arriving, it takes literally minutes for someone to find out. Because I tell you, the Sentinel newspaper published my brother's death before the family were told.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was less than 24 hours after it happened. So Pete Malloy would have heard one way or the other before he texted my brother or phoned him.
Yeah. Well, and so that's so that's the problem. It's just so much around the actual death of Glenn that at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like at any time there was a problem between your brother and Sabina. It was about, as you said, it was about making the police pathologist report proves that he was in the process of making a sandwich. The knife and butter and all the stuff was there, wasn't it? The ham was all on the side. Yeah. He just popped out merrily to speak to his neighbour to ask for some tea bags. So everything was cool. Within minutes, he'd now staggered out the house, being stabbed. So there was no real reason for Sabina. What you were attacking? They're trying to make it sound, because of her crazed actions on the motorway, it makes her the ideal candidate to say, well, she's mad, she did it.
Well, that's interesting you say, David, because the fact is that she was, with the psychiatrists in court that I was there, they said that she was suffering from folie à deux, which is an associative disease where one twin, the dominant one, can influence bad behaviour in the other one. Now, her sister was in hospital, they were well apart, there's no ESP going on. Why would that be her actions, alleged actions towards my brother, i.e. killing him? Why would she have been triggered into folie à deux action if her sister was nowhere to be seen? I don't think for 1 second she was triggered. And I'm inclined to agree with you, quite frankly, that on the preponderance of evidence, it's unlikely that she killed him, because she pleaded not guilty all the way up to the end.
All the way. She maintained her innocence for 16 months until the day before she went to court that you and your family attended. She then done a plea bargain and pleaded guilty to manslaughter, knowing she already had nearly served